So a lot of people think, oh, well, you guys are just debt consolidation. Some of our strategies can help people get out of debt in 9 years or less. That includes their house.
Thank y'all for joining the Twincast. It's the podcast where business and faith are our foundation, and a good laugh is always on the house. We're identical twin sisters navigating the real estate world one deal at a time. The Twincast starts now. We're your hosts, Nicole and Cherie, and the host of the Twincast, where we talk about faith, life, leveling up, and real estate. Let's go, Nicole. All right. Okay, so we have Devin Vandivier on our Twincast today, and he is a financial educator, and we're happy to have him. We have lots to talk about. Devin, thank you for coming.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me. It's been a long time coming. So I'm super excited to get into it.
Yeah, Devin has been into our office several times, and I'll tell you, he has been persistent, and I love that because that's what we do. Me and Nicole are pretty persistent ourselves, and in sales you have to be. But Devin's really shed a lot of light into uh, all aspects of our industry because obviously we do mortgages, so that's financial literacy, and he's helping a lot of people in ways that I can't because I help with mortgages, and I really didn't think about the aspect in which Devin can help. But he's shed, like I said, he shed some light on some areas that I think are important to our viewers, and I want Devin to explain a little bit about what he does and what he can help our customers and anybody listening.
Absolutely. So I own and operate Vandivier Legacy Group. Really, it's just a financial education company. I work with families and small businesses, really to help them understand things like estate planning, protecting the things that they've built throughout their entire lifetime, and making sure they have a plan in place for the future is really all it comes down to.
Well, what I think is important is that although Devin is in sales and we all are, you and me, it's not about a sell. It's about, it's something personal for you. You've been through a journey where you needed this information and it didn't have it. So I think that's important to add to the conversation. Is it something that you believe in?
Absolutely. One of the mottos that we kind of operate on is the right product for the right person for the right reason at the right time. So it's really education first and always. We just want to make sure that the client, the family, the business understands what their options are. There's no pressure for sales. We just really want to educate as much as we can. If it's a great fit, awesome. If it's not, at least that person leaves with a little more education than when we started the meeting.
So tell me, Devin, a little bit about when you say financial literacy. Explain more about what your group does and where do our customers reach out as far as at what process are they buying a home after they buy the home after they own several homes? When are you important in their lives?
To be honest with you, I could step in at any point in time. One of the big things that we use is called the infinite banking concept. And really, all that is just a properly structured whole life policy, but we really focus on the cash value as a proponent where it can grow. And we really use that proponent of the policy to help eliminate compounding interest and basically get rid of all those nagging debts that come around the corner, cars, repeated credit cards, that kind of thing. We really just try and help people spend money more efficiently to free up cash flow and start creating that long-term legacy.
Well, everybody has debt. In fact, most Americans are living in financial stress right now. So, when we help them with a mortgage, that's great, but we don't want to add to that case. And sometimes our customers come in and we can't help them. We can't help them because they are in a financial situation where maybe they've stretched themselves too thin. I have saw where you've stepped in and you've kind of looking at their financial situation and saying, "Hey, let's get these accounts paid off. Here's a strategy on what," because I could give mine, but yours, I believe you can give more than just pay these things off. You can build wealth with that. So, can you tell me a little bit about the debt payoff that you help with?
Absolutely. So one of the things that we really can applaud ourselves on is some of our strategies can help people get out of debt in 9 years or less. That includes their house. So a lot of people think, oh, well, you guys are just debt consolidation. As a group, we don't, I guess, consume people's debt. We don't say, hey, we're going to take it off for you and then you're going to pay us a fee. We're 100% fee free. We just really lay out the strategy and what can work. With these whole life policies. I know everyone says, "Oh, well, whole life policy is bad. I don't want to get into it." But we don't structure it to purchase the whole life. We structure it for the multiple jobs that your dollar can do. And so we always tell people, "Hey, we're really just taking your dollar and making it go from doing one job for you, which is sitting in your bank account or paying off a credit card, to doing five jobs." Those five jobs are: it grows tax free, you can borrow against it tax free, it gives you a death benefit, it's litigation proof, and it's guaranteed to grow with compounding interest. So it really just gives people a lot more of reassurance versus, hey, my money's just sitting in my high yield savings account, but if I use it, it's gone. With this one, you can use it, you can borrow against it, and it does all these things for the long-term growth.
Now, who doesn't like something that does five jobs? Like, I mean,
I mean, I do 5 jobs, but
right, right, right.
and
Of
I can
course,
really
Nicole.
relate to something like this. But all seriousness aside, I really do think that it's such a great product that your company offers. As far as what I have seen, having a house and having things that you want to pay off, it seems obtainable. Giving a plan, your company gives a plan, and we tell Sheree, I mean, me and Sheree talk about all the time. You need a plan. You need to have a goal, and this sets something in perspective and obtainable. So I'm pretty excited to be part of what you're doing, and that you believe in it. It makes me feel comfortable that you believe in the product you're selling, and look. I mean, we tell Sheree, me and Sheree talk about all the time. Like, you can pick up the phone and call me. I know I can pick up the phone and call you if I need something or have a question, and you'll be right over here to answer the questions. And that's how we feel about our business too. That if someone has a question or needs something, they can come to our office, and we'll be here because we stand behind our product, and I know you do too. So that's reassuring.
Absolutely. I believe in it so much to the point where I'm actually in the process of getting a second policy out for myself. I'm using one right now to help my parents alleviate some debt, and as well as me and my wife. I mean, we have, astronomical amounts of debt. We're the normal average American family. We have between 10 and 12 different debt items between credit cards and couches and cars and stuff like that, student loans. And the plan that you guys keep referring to is really great because we were potentially supposed to be in debt on our own plan for about 30 years. And with this plan in place, as long as we follow it, we're out of debt in less than 9 years. It's like just under 8 years. So it cuts almost 22 years off just by following the plan and following the structure.
It's
Well, the
crazy.
the plan for most Americans are to work until you die, and to work. I mean, we say that we retire at 65, but do people really retire at 65? No, because there's no plan in place. But you put a plan in place to help people, whether they're fallen sick because of a medical situation. Like you said, you have death benefits if there's something that happens to a spouse. There's a plan for every particular situation, and it's almost fail safe. I mean, that's that's how you go to sleep at night feeling okay. And nobody wants anything bad to happen. However, if it does, we would like to know that there's a plan that maybe my kids don't have to live in, that they don't have to give away everything that we worked for. Perhaps that we have a trust set up, that we have different strategies in place. You've opened our eyes to that, me and Jesse, and we've kind of seen a few things in a different light just because your persistence in saying, no, I really believe that you guys need to take a look at this. Like you said, if you don't need to do it, or you don't believe in it, or you don't want to do it, you don't have to, but at least sit down with me and let me talk to you about it. And I can respect that because you've given us the option, but you've said here are some things that I think you need to look at. And you're right, we needed to look at it, with our rental properties, with different aspects that we didn't really consider. And so those people that have rental properties, those people that have assets that they've worked so hard to obtain, can you speak to that a little bit about, and specifically our situation, yes, but to other people that may have rental properties and they think, oh, well, I got enough and I'll just retire on that, and it's no big deal. I have a plan in place. Can you tell us a little bit about what your group will do for those people that have assets and things like that?
Absolutely. Just to touch on the retirement part, there is statistically saying that anywhere between the age of 18 and 60, the average American has about $2 million passed between their hands, all the years that they're working. But yet that same average American retires with about $60,000 on average in their bank account. One of the biggest things about retirement is a lot of people after they retire become bankrupt because they only retire with $60,000 and they have one huge medical event, or they're carrying, $250,000 on average super late in life, doesn't really leave much space for vacations and birthdays and Christmas presents and traveling and that kind of thing. And so it really has that can affect that older generation. When anyone retires, say, hey, we're still being constrained by financial bounds because we don't have that type of freedom. So it's absolutely crazy. 75% on average of the money you make a month goes out the back door in bills and compounding interest.
Mm-hmm.
And so we really just continue to reshape that conversation and try and figure out what people's plans are. Back to your original question with the estate planning and trust and stuff, it's really just want to make sure that those assets are, one, protected versus any litigation. And two, a husband and wife say they own a home and a car, that kind of thing, and one of them gets in an accident, and now someone has to make financial decisions for the family, and someone needs to make a medical decision for that loved one or that individual. You can't do that. There's a lot of laws out there, HIPAA being one of them, basically saying, hey, there's no documentation in place relieving that liability from the hospital to allow you to make those decisions. So with the estate planning, I truly believe everybody needs one. Anyone over the age of 18, they definitely need to at least have the conversation, just because it's really important to understand what you can and can't do, and really make sure that in the event that you do become incapacitated, that someone that you love, and you trust can make those decisions for you, because that's really what it is it's changing the conversation from, okay, well, not what happens to my stuff after I die, but what happens while I'm alive and I can no longer make those decisions for myself.
Yeah, you have to, you need to have a plan in place. And like I said, I just didn't really think of that. I thought I was doing everything right in the aspect of I'm, saving money. I have a whole life policy. I have these different these policies in place, or I thought, but I didn't have I kind of just went with someone that I thought might be able to help me and leading, which is crazy to me because uh, our whole podcast, our whole life, the last 13 years, we believe in coaching. We believe in finding somebody smarter than you to help you through these things. And so this is what Devin does: is he just helps you through the things that you don't know about, the questions that you're not sure to ask, the questions that maybe someone hasn't asked you. Maybe you're a first generation of a homeowner, or first generation of rental properties, or somebody that is wanting to be the first generation of setting your life apart from all the others. And you need somebody like Devin that says, here are some tools that you may be able to put in your toolbox so that later on you can be better than the person before you or the person after you. And that's all that we us on our podcast, and what Devin is trying to do is trying to prepare our current society for a better financial position and the people after us to be in a better situation. So as far as financial wealth, you're a first generation, I believe, of starting a policy like this and kind of putting these things in place because you had not a financial. I think someone passed away and they didn't have things lined up right. Is that right?
Yes, my wife, we were about a month out from our wedding and her father passed away, a very unfortunate. But that time should have been one of the happiest moments of our life, and we got hit with that devastation of losing a loved one, a very close loved one, matter of fact. And we spent days and weeks trying to find wills and a trust that we thought that there was, and trying to really just settle that estate, trying to figure out what to do with what items, what assets there were, what to do with those assets, that type of stuff, while also trying to finish planning our wedding. And after that, it hit me like, man, like this stuff is really important. So my wife and I started to take a few steps to put us both on the cars, on the bank accounts, that type of stuff. But I was also, in law enforcement, and I have a lot of friends in firefighting, that type of stuff. And I just, the all the time I've spent around first responders, no one's actually come to me and said, hey, in the event that you get injured on the job or you become incapacitated via, some kind of incident, like I said, on the job or just a car crash, is your wife allowed to make those decisions for you? And, the majority of the people are going to say, oh yeah, we're married. Well, that doesn't really buy them the powers of attorney that need to be set in place. A lot of people reference, oh, well, we're on the same bank account. That's absolutely fantastic. But when it comes to having to liquidate a property or a house or a car to help pay for those medical bills, if you both are on the title or the deed, you can't because now that person is, in a coma, they're incapacitated, they can't sign anything. So you're left with like, I don't really know what to do, and my hands are kind of tied. And a lot of people when those events come up, they look at taking out loans, taking out more debt, using the credit card, that type of stuff. And so we really want to make sure like, hey, let's make sure there's proper planning in place. Let's at least have the conversation. So that way, when you are struck with a huge death in the family, it's not just it allows you the freedom to, I think, grieve properly and not necessarily be stressed out about, well, I just lost a loved one, now I'm grieving, and now I have to try and go through all of their stuff, all of the paperwork, all of their estate, wonder if they're going to go through probate. Probate is huge, and so that's what a trust is. A trust is basically pre-probating all of your assets because it really just helps make sure that things get passed on versus having to go to a court and let the court decide who gets what, when they get it, how much it is, what it's worth, that type of stuff.
Yeah, I didn't want to be one of those people. You see on Facebook and all these different places where people are having to do a GoFundMe because, your husband passed away or your wife passed away and with their mom passed away, someone passed away, there's not even enough money for burial expenses. And then you have to start talking about the houses and the will and all these different things. And that's a very trying time, to say the least, right? During a death. But then you have to start talking about finances. And I tell people all the time, you know, it ain't no fun. It is not any fun talking about finances, but then you have to talk about finances and death at the same time. I
Oof.
mean,
Yeah,
no.
that's
I
rough.
mean, it's terrible. It's terrible. So, this is a absolutely necessary. It's not a question if it needs to happen, and you need to have the conversations because death is unavoidable. Somebody is going to die, and most likely you're going to be put in a position where you're going to need to have answers or make decisions regarding it, whether it's your children, your mom, your dad, spouse, loved ones. You will be in a position, and you just want to be in a better position of how to handle it, and be able to deal in the moment with the death and not all the additional layers of how do we pay for this? What happens to, all the things that we've worked so hard for? Those are the conversations that we're trying to have you prepared for. And little did I know, I thought I was ready. But
We
Devin was like,
probably were more prepared than most. I mean, or some.
mhm,
So I think that that's great. But I also, with the things that you're doing, Devin, it puts things in perspective and it gives people an outlet and, like we said, a roadmap. To get somewhere, even for in my situation, I thought, for my girls, what am I going to do if something happens to me? What are they going to do? Where are they going to go? I mean, I thought about all those things and I didn't have anything in place. So this gave me it gave me some peace of mind to know that, okay, I'm working towards something. And what they say, you're one decision away from changing everything. And so I'm just making one decision, hopefully in the right direction. I say hopefully, but I know in the right direction that's going to, and take one step at a time to get where I'm trying to go. And, being able to pay off the house and saying, okay, well, that I don't have to wait till I'm 80 to pay that off. Oh my gosh, that was a relief there. I'm like, oh, I can't pay it off. It's where I can still enjoy it.
mhm.
So that was good information. And then having that death benefit, um, that was helpful too.
Get you, Dev.
Ab- Absolutely. Our my company motto is where today's decisions become tomorrow's legacy, because that's really what we're trying to create. We're trying to make people make the decisions today that's going to help create a legacy for tomorrow, whether it be for them, their kids, future generations, that type of stuff. And I have a 2.5-year-old little boy, and ever since, he's come into my life, it's every step I make is for him in the future. I want to be able to relish now in the fruits of the labor and the connections and that type of stuff now, which is great. But it's all going to come down to him. What legacy am I leaving behind for him? What am I setting him up for the future, and what am I going to teach him now that he can teach his kids and many more generations to come. So that's really what we're about at Vandivier Legacy Group.
I love it because, yeah, that's what we should be. I mean, a lot of parents are thinking, how do I make our kids' life better? How do I better them? What do I do with these assets? What do I do to make them more financially prepared than I was. And so this is a way to start having the conversations about financial wealth, about financial literacy. And this is just another tool in your toolbox to talk to Devin. So Devin, he's local here in Central Texas. And so that's why we love it, is that we can bug him and we can give him a call pretty easily. And so we love that about him. But if people want to reach out to you and connect with you, how did they do that?
I have a Facebook page called Vandivier Legacy Group. We also just got our website up and running, and so my phone number and everything is on there. I also have an email, Devin at vandivierlegacygroup.com. And then if anyone reaches out to me via Facebook or anything, I'd be happy to give my personal cell phone number. And I'm a family guy, so if I don't answer a text back right away, it's usually because I'm chasing down a 3-year-old. But I'll eventually get back to them as soon as possible. So.
A couple minutes later because Devin, he barely sleeps. Usually, if I text him, he's right on it. So I don't expect too much of a delay there.
Yeah. So, and also we'll have that information for our listeners and our show notes here so that y'all can get in touch with Devin. But Devin, we usually end our show with a question, and it's if the walls could talk in your home, what would they say?
That my 2-year-old is becoming a three-nager very, very quickly. And it's all about numbers and strategy. My wife works for Aquila Home Builders, and so when she comes home, she doesn't want to talk about numbers anymore. So there's a point where I talk about numbers and I start like, hey, this is what I think, this is what I learned today, this is how we can apply it, this is what I think is going on. And she just looks at me and says, you should just stop talking. So I would say if my walls could talk, they would say your 2-year-old is crazy and you talk way too much about numbers and financial strategy.
Hey, you know what? I can't be mad at her. I can't be mad at her or you.
Well, the
The
walls
numbers,
may
yeah.
say, I'm listening, Devin. I'm listening. If no one else is listening, the walls are.
For sure. That's funny. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Devin, for being on our show. We appreciate having you here today.
And if you love today's,
Absolutely.
sorry about that. Okay, yes, thank you for being on our show. If you love today's episode, like, subscribe, or share.
If you'd like to be on the show, just send us a DM. And until next time, keep dreaming big, planning smart, and remember, with the right team, you'll hold the keys.